Sweating.
Man, me and Joe Mazzulla sweating our asses off tonight.
I gotta
Wow.
tell you, if you guys should have seen Sherrod in his early NBC days.
You remember all too well, my friend.
The padding of the brow was essential. Those lights are
Absolutely.
those lights are hot, my man. If you're not used to the
Yes.
TV, yeah,
Yeah, the Celtics, they're feeling some of those hot lights tonight. This was a weird game, John.
yeah,
I mean, it was weird from the standpoint the minute that fans realized that there would be no Joel Embiid, there'd be no Tyrese Maxey, there was a bit of like, oh, crap, what the hell did we pay to watch tonight? And then the game was never really the Celtics never really felt as though they were controlling this game. It's almost as if they shifted down a couple of gears and were just kind of just, as Doc Rivers used to say, cool breezing it.
yeah,
They were just way too cool for school for most of this game. And of course, it would be old man Al who saves the day. A couple of really big plays defensively, had 20 points. This was definitely like a back to the future kind of game for Al, who, as it turns out, this was the first I talked to him before the game, and this was the first time him and I had a conversation this season before the game. And it was funny because one thing he said that stuck to me was that, I want to impact winning, and sometimes I have to do it scoring, sometimes I have to do it rebounding, sometimes I have to do defense. And tonight it was all of the above because they needed everything they could get out of him, and some of those guys in more traditional role positions to get this win.
yeah. We've said it. We've said it about a lot of players, um, and I just think everybody on this team, like we've used the expression before, give the game what it needs. At a certain time, and you have players on this team who like Horford, like Holiday, like White, who I think consistently give the game what it needs. And sometimes it needs you to score. Sometimes it needs you just to play defense and do nothing else. Sometimes it needs you to be the distributor. Sometimes it needs you to whatever. And those guys, I think, do that. And I think did that for a good part of the night on a night where your two superstars had problems. Jason Tatum's are everybody knows now. We'll spend a lot of time on Tatum tonight for sure. And then also Brown was just he came on strong and I thought he was okay, but he was searching for it all game long, Sherrod, right? Like he was doing the difficult thing instead of the easy thing, and I think he's still feeling it out. He's really struggling in terms of his shot selection and how best to impact the game offensively. But he did have a couple of moments late. One in particular where I loved where he just got to the free throw line, just rose up and took a clean, uncontested jumper. Like that's the type of stuff you want to see, spotting up, relocating, getting in the corner for those threes. So, that was good. But yeah, those guys were great. Al was great, all game long. And then, Peyton Pritchard, heroics in that fourth quarter. Missoula was, praising the hell out of him in the post game as well. So, they got it. But I'll go back to the thing that you said. What did you expect out of this game with all of those guys out, right? I knew, you knew, everybody knew it was.
You knew there'd be a letdown of some sort. You knew that.
It wasn't just that. You knew when they came out shooting 68% in the first quarter, like that's the worst thing that can happen. It's because they're like, look at this. This is cake. We're getting whatever we want. And when everything is falling, you think that it's easy. And what do? You don't play a lick of defense, and you just let guys just, walk uncontested to the basket, get offensive rebounds, do whatever. I mean, you're getting tuned up by Patrick Beverly and Melton tonight. It was an embarrassing, unserious effort in the first half. A very unserious effort. And Tatum looked like he was just, I had an I don't want to be here mentality almost all night long.
And it was weird because you look at his numbers. I mean, he was efficient as get
very
out.
efficient offensively, minus the turnovers.
21 points on 9 shots taken by best player. You would live and die with that lineup that kind of line any night. But Tatum just really seemed disinterested out of her. I had a conversation with Cedric Maxwell at halftime, and I won't get into all the particulars of our conversation, but the gist of it was, I guess defense is optional tonight for both teams. And it was that kind of game. And it's disappointing because I really think the Celtics, this was an opportunity to remind Philadelphia that they're the superior team. Now, Philadelphia, next time they see the Celtics, they're going to feel way better about themselves than they should because they're going to say, you know what, we hung with them toe to toe, without our top two scorers. And you throw in Nicholas Batum, who's a very good player for them as well, came over in the trade with Harden. So they're going to walk out of here feeling pretty good about themselves, which is not something you just don't want to have happen with a team like them that you're probably going to see at some point in the postseason.
Yeah. No good. And it's like we get caught, right, between excusing these performances and like, look, there's 82, you're not going to be able to get up for everything. Or this, I'm always on that line, or just being annoyed as hell about like, are you guys going to ever just kind of just get serious? And it is frustrating because I always do think it ends up being a top-down sort of thing. It begins with the stars. And if those guys, when they come out and they're like, all those post-game comments where those guys would say, we need to do this, we need to do that. Look, it almost always begins with Tatum and Brown. And that's where it starts.
It does.
They need to set the tone and show everybody else that they're serious. When they're not, the games tend to go like this.
They do. And with Tatum, you could tell early on when he picked up that first tech, it was like, wait, what? Because he's been really good this year about making his case and then letting it go. He didn't do that tonight. And it goes back to your point, John. Tatum has been in the league long enough to know damn well that certain officials are going to not tolerate that and not give you a warning. They're just going to tee your ass up. And when he got the first tee, I'm thinking like, okay, he got that out of his system. He's good. The one that he got really upset about where he's on the ground and he's grabbing, it was a definite foul. Now, did he get fouled before that play? Absolutely. But that's besides the point. They're not going to make that change. They're not going to change that call. And to make matters worse, John, after he gets tossed, Joe Mazzulla challenges the play. And not only do they lose a challenge, Tatum then is going to go for a flagrant one instead of just a regular foul. I mean, it's just like they went from having a slim 1-point lead to being down by 2 going into the fourth. But I give those guys credit that Tatum's teammates, they absolutely 100% bailed his ass out tonight. There's no doubt about that.
They did. And like, I think, and again, shout out Trevor. We appreciate this. And thank you so much for watching. And supporting us. Yeah, look, and that's the thing is like the dialogue with Tatum's always going to be like, he gets fouled, he doesn't get the whistles, he's got a right to be mad. He does. Oh, they all do. I mean,
play through it.
It's like, if you work outside in the summer, it's going to be hot. Like, you can acknowledge it's going to be hot or just complain about the heat every second of the day. Like, that's just life. Like, it's going to be this way. Like, you're not going to get all the calls. It's going to be frustrating sometimes. Like, you just have to recognize there's no benefit to complaining and just kind of move on. It's just a maturity thing. He's not the only star. And this is where I think fans get really mad anytime we go in on him on this. He's not the only star. Beverly probably could have gotten 14 texts tonight with his demonstrative reactions. Down in the fourth quarter alone, he could have gotten 3 texts for flipping out over foul calls. So it's right, but it's more a matter of Tatum has to recognize the refs hate him. And like, if you're a superstar, they can't hate you like that. Like they can hate Pat Beverly's, but you don't want a Chris Paul and what's his name relationship with every referee. That's not going to work for you. Like, just play the game and recognize like it's not going to happen. Shake your head down the court. But like the demonstrative stuff's never going to work. And it's not just because they're going to tee you up. It's because he takes himself mentally out of these games. So it's a lack of emotional maturity that for some reason he has. For someone who has such a refined skill set and ability to do so many things, it's really weird. He can't get out of his own head with this stuff because it stays with him. It affects his play. It affects his effort. And I think it drags down the team. So he's just not doing anybody any favors with it.
You know what? The way that this headspace that he seemed to be in this game, it's almost a blessing that he got tossed.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure if he would have been able to continue playing, whether he wouldn't have taken himself and with that take the team down a road of defeat, because he just wasn't where he needed to be emotionally in this game. I don't know why. I mean, it could have very well been the fact that there was no Joel Embiid and there was no Tyrese Maxey, and he had what I call a fan moment. Fans, when that happens, they get disappointed. They don't. Their interest level wanes. But you're the best player on the team with the best record in the NBA. That should not happen with you. And for me, that's the frustration with him right now. He doesn't do this nearly as much as he's done it in the past. So I will give him a little bit of credit for that. But it still happens enough to where it's annoying as hell. And it's I think, again, it is a potential problem that he has to continue to get better at.
Yeah. No doubt. He just has to get better. It's pointless. It's just pointless. Just move on. But I can't forget the ejection stuff. I can't get what was going on otherwise. It was just his head wasn't in the game at any point in time. Maybe I don't want to speculate. I have no idea. You have no idea what's going on in people's lives. He just looked off all night.
You know what they did though, John?
And still, as you said, was remarkably efficient, which is crazy.
Right. Which reminds us how ridiculously talented this guy is. I mean, the thing that they did early on, and really I thought for most of the first half that made me feel this game they weren't ever going to really pull away, was they never went to the post. I mean, no Joel Embiid, so you don't have that interior presence that usually gives you problems, and no Tyrese Maxey, so you don't have that perimeter threat. Although D'Anthony Melton, I give him credit, he had a good game in terms of scoring the ball, took a lot of shots, but certainly was a guy that really, he held his own. But they never attacked that middle. They never looked to just work Philadelphia over. They took the path of least resistance, Sean. It's easy to shoot threes when you're playing a team that you know doesn't have an inside presence because that gives you a better chance to get those offensive rebounds.
Yeah.
They got way too comfortable playing that just shot-chucking game that we know they have the ability to do from time to time. But here's the problem. When you do that and you don't play defense, this is what happens. Philadelphia had no business shooting the ball as well as they did in this game for the first 2+ quarters. And it was more about what the Celtics weren't doing than what Philadelphia was doing.
Yeah. That being said, the positive off of this was definitely that, the first half was annoying because they didn't play any defense at all. And then in the third quarter, you have the Tatum ejection right near the end of that, which kind of, is a downer there. And you're like, oh, geez, did they just give away this gimme game because of that? And that was going to be frustrating. But, all of a sudden, you're kind of even with Philly at this point. They're out there 2 stars. I mean, they're out even more than that. You're out, arguably your 2 best. And it was a game, and the rest of the guys were damn good. It's a damn good fourth quarter. It's a fun, entertaining fourth quarter.
Yeah, and really, that was the only quarter of value for me in this game.
That's it.
Because both teams were really competing, and in Philadelphia, they tried. They gave their best effort. But as the fourth quarter wore on, it became very obvious, and what we all know, and that is the Celtics are a deeper team. If you start taking away their top chess pieces, they still got enough firepower to crown you and king you and get the win. And that's what happened in this game.
Though they almost did not survive 3 Luke Cornett minutes there in the fourth quarter or whatever it was he was out there.
Luke Cornett, I don't know if he's had a worse game as a Boston Celtic than he had tonight. This might very well be the worst Luke Cornett game we have ever seen him play. I mean, here's the thing. It got to the point where when Joe decided to bring him back in the fourth quarter, what did Nick Nurse do? Mo Bamba, let's go. Because Mo Bamba filleted, grilled, broiled, however you like your meat cooked. That's what happened with Luke Cornett when Mo Bamba was on the floor. And there was nothing that Luke was seemingly able to do. And it got to the point, as soon as he came back, Joe, and I give Joe Mazzulla credit, he saw the same thing all of us up here were watching, and that is get his ass off the floor. Get Peyton Pritchard back on the floor. That was, and again, to me, that's part of Joe's growth as a coach, not being so damn stubborn about what he wants to do, and instead do what you need to do to get your team out of a very prickly situation that your star player kind of put you guys in the middle of.
Yep.
But Luke was horrible. I mean, Luke, I don't want to be in a film room when they're looking back on this one and they're going through some things they need to work on better. Luke was a -9 when he was out there, the worst of anyone. And here's the thing. Keita, I'm telling you now, Keita is looking like someone who is starving to take someone's rotation spot. If he keeps getting out there playing 10 to 15 minutes and giving you 5, 6, 7 points, 5, 6, 7 rebounds, being active, all 3 shots, he's going to make some bad decisions. He had the really bad turnover where they gave him the ball in transition. Why the hell would you do that?
Yeah. Oh, but Al knew it right away. He was like,
exactly.
I'll tell you this.
You don't do that with Rob. You never did that with Rob Williams. Why would you do that with Keita?
Al Horford, if there's one slight flaw in Al Horford's game, is he really wants to be a point guard in transition because he gets it and he likes to dribble, and it ends bad 9 out of 10 times. He's got to give it up, but he gets going and he's like, I feel free and I'm young and I'm fast and I can do this. And it's just, that's why you don't do it, because when it's time to give up the ball, you're throwing it to Keita in an impossible position for him. He's not going to be able to catch and do something with it there. And as soon as he did it, Al was almost like, I forgot you were a total goof. I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't mean to do that. But,
I was shocked to see he made the pass.
Yeah.
I was just shocked that Al even made the pass, because he plays the same position that Rob plays and Cornette plays. When in the world have you given him the ball in transition?
Yeah.
Where they actually had to put it on the floor in order to score. So
yeah, exactly.
But Al gets a pass. So Al was really good tonight. He was really good.
Al was amazing. That was amazing. We were talking about Tatum, and this was I believe I've got Mazzulla here talking about the ejection situation.
I thought everybody stepped up, and that's just kind of the team that we have, and credit to them. I thought they did a great job executing on both ends of the floor. Thought we went double big there, and we were able to give it a different look. And I thought the guys just did what they had to do to win. And games like that, everyone has the expectation of the game is supposed to go a certain way. It's not how the NBA works. And so you saw it the other night when Chicago and Milwaukee. We played with Chicago. Chicago's 2 best players were out there winning overtime. And so the game wasn't supposed to go a certain way. It went how it went, and it was tough. And I thought we did a great job making plays when it was necessary.
He's wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
They did. They absolutely delivered when they had to. But to me, the bigger issue is you should have been in that position where your players had to do that.
Yeah.
That's my issue.
And this is something people go back and forth on all the time, and you see it in the chat. Like, I know Joe, people are quick to kind of point to Joe, for almost everything that goes wrong. And I don't know how much of it he could affect and how much of it is just simply it's low hanging fruit. You do wonder, like, from a coaching perspective, like, what you can do to, like, not go through an entire half of playing like lazy or like ass like they did, or recognizing before a game what because again, I'm always it's 95 players and 5% coach, but it's like you just want to see them recognize, okay, the stars are out. We can either come out and then treat this like an easy game and we're going to coast, or we drop the hammer, put these guys down 40 and it's Geno time and we all rest on the bench in the fourth. The one good thing about the in-season tournament Chicago situation, blowout situation, is you had to learn how to, like, put your foot on the throat of an inferior opponent and just keep on the gas. And even though you had to keep the starters in for longer, there was no let up there. There was some mentality or something that clicked in, got caught up in the moment, an exciting night, chasing the results. Everything was going on, and they got into it. It was kind of like goofy kid stuff, but they were into it. But it still was like what you want to see, which is, like, don't let up. Just assert your dominance. Just keep going. Why make it easy? Why let them into the game? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, how do you get a team to do that better? Like, it's going to frustrate us always when we watch these games and like, why aren't they taking this seriously tonight?
It is. I mean, and I wish there was, like, if they did X, Y, and Z, everything would change. They'll figure it out that way. But there is no rhyme or reason why they do this, because we've seen them when they are engaged and they want to just throttle you. They can do that. I mean, a locked-in Jaylen Brown, a locked-in Jason Tatum. There aren't a lot of teams that can beat these guys when those two guys are completely all bought in and doing the things that they're supposed to do. But I mean, my goodness, they had 10 turnovers between them tonight, and the team had 20 total. You're too bad. That's and one guy didn't even play the fourth quarter. I mean, that's insane. With Tatum had in terms of the turnovers. But, again, the one positive in this game is that for those who were wondering whether Al still had any juice or any gas left in the tank, these are the nights when he reminds us, yes, I still got a little bit. I still can go out there and get you 20 points. Or I can get you, a couple weeks ago, I think he had like 15 rebounds, something like that. So that was, to me, that was the biggest positive, the fact that Al had an opportunity to put a significant imprint on the game, and he made the most of it.
Yeah, no doubt. Couple things we're waiting on. Everyone's wondering. We got Josue and Bobby there. Players a little bit slow to get to the locker room right now. Only Joe Mazzulla's talked. I think Tatum's at the podium now. We'll get those clips to you as soon as we have them. We're waiting on some guys to talk in the locker room. Josue and Bobby will chime in and give their perspective as well. Jimmy Toscano, he might be gigging tonight. I'm not. Ahmed, are you saying neither Tatum nor Brown speaking tonight? Yeah. Is that correct? Yeah. Hold on. I'm messaging Bobby. Yeah. Yep. Nope. That's it. We're not going to hear from Tatum and we're not going to hear from Brown. Why not Brown?
I'm thinking with Jaylen, I'm thinking as I'm looking at some of these lines, he was maybe at best fourth player?
Yeah, maybe.
I mean,
you're still the star. I mean, you're still Jaylen Brown, but I get it. So Holiday and White are going to talk. Yep.
Yeah, this is a game where you can make a justifiable case in not having him talk. Al, Derek White, Drew Holiday, Kata, Peyton Pritchard. There's a number of guys that they could theoretically turn to, because I didn't think Jaylen was like horrible. He just wasn't great. 20 points, 4 steals, couple blocks, 3 turnovers, 0 assists, which was disappointing. But they were plus 10 when he was on the floor.
You know what you have to do to get assists? You have to pass the ball.
Oh, is that really? Was that what that's called? Here's the thing about Jaylen, though, and I have to remind myself of this, because he had a game. He's had a few games where he's had like 6 or 7 assist type performances. You have to know the basketball gods and the law of averages are going to say, okay, that's overreaching what he is going to do. So there's going to be games where he's going to have 0 or 2 or 1.
This game's been over for 50 minutes. We are still waiting for people to talk. JT and Al apparently are going to the podium. White and Giroux are going to the locker room. They still have not gone. Only Joe has talked. We're an hour after the game. This is like.
I think this is a game where I think part of that, and we've been enough of these scrums to know that they know the kind of questions they're going to get, and they don't want to answer those questions. Like, Tatum, what the hell were you thinking when you picked up the second tag, knowing you already had one?
The longer
on a play that you're not going to get there to feel any different about it. What are you bitching about? It's not going to change the call.
The longer the media waits, the saltier they get, Sherrod. They should know that too, okay?
Well, they accept the exception to that is when we're waiting for Kevin Garnett, because we know we're going to get something good, win or lose.
Yeah.
That is the gold standard.
He's going to come out 90 minutes later. He's going to look great. He's going to smell great. He's going to have all the jewels on. He'll probably have just gone through a workout, but he's going to drop friggin' some gold. No question.
And we're going to wait there, and we're going to soak up every single noun, verb, and adjective he spits.
We would debate. We would have active debates at NBC. Like, do we wait for him? Like every time in our post-game show, or go on to the next show? Like you don't want to skip Garnett, but like, are we going to do a post-game show for an hour and 20 minutes just to wait for KG talk? So we started just sticking it into whatever late show it came in, because we had to hear from him, but we just couldn't wait for him. It's so unbelievable. Again, while we're waiting for more reaction to come back from the Garden, we'll let you guys know very quickly. If you do want to get in on any of the action, and Jason Tatum is speaking now, so we'll hear what he has to say. about his Ahmed is saying it's not great, but he's not delivering the KG level goods here. But if you want to get in on the action here, FanDuel, check out FanDuel.com/Boston and sign up today. Get $150 in bonus bets when you place a winning $5 money line bet. And I'm going to tell you,
Oh,
Pats are going to win this weekend. I'm sorry. I know some people don't want that. The Chargers are done. They're donezo. They're done with their coach. They want nothing to do with this. They're a horribly coached team. They don't want to be here. They're traveling cross country. The Patriots are going to win this game, and it's going to make things tight. It's going to make things tight looking for a top 3 pick there. So I don't know what side of the fence you're on regarding this. Pats are going to win this weekend.
wow.
I know. Yeah.
I just don't see it happening.
I'm just saying.
I just think
I called the Bills win. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. It has nothing to do with confidence in San Diego, and everything to do.
It's the incompetence.
Or the Chargers, excuse me, not San Diego. They're no longer there. It has nothing to do with them, and everything to do with just the Patriots finding a way to screw it up. I just think that they're at that stage in their development as a franchise where if there's like a 99.9% chance they're going to win, that 0.1% will be the path they take.
I hope so. But I'm nervous as hell, and I'm telling you, I'm unabashedly on the side of the coin of lose. And I say this: I woke up the neighbors screaming when they missed that field goal over the weekend. The whole house was like, "What?" And yes, no. But anyway, check out if you want to get in on the action. It's the official wagering partner of the NFL and also the official wagering partner of the CLNS media network. So sign up today if you are interested in doing this sort of thing. FanDuel is definitely the best spot for you. Super easy to use app. A lot of terrific deals. Very user friendly. And you're gonna get paid. So check out FanDuel. Back to the game here and. Hold on one second. A couple things I wanted to go over. We always look at kind of like, I thought this was, you texted me, Sherrod. Keita did his job.
Yeah.
And it's beyond just doing his job. A couple things have happened. And again, this isn't I can't wait till Bobby gets here and we can make him read Cornette's eulogy live on the air. It's not about that. You just wondered. I think people wondered in the preseason when you saw Keita play and kind of look athletic and be able to crash those boards and be a little bit more of a physical presence. I wonder if he's going to kind of take away those Cornette minutes. And then he was injured, and then we saw him against the Hawks play a significant role in that game. And it was like, okay, but Luke had a good game that game too. And then here tonight, he came in early. Cornette did not. And that's the first time you've seen Missoula kind of do that. And so you kind of wonder if this was a passing of the torch in terms of the extra big, especially when KP is out as he's been out lately. Was this something new? And again, I think he acquitted himself fine. He kind of does, as you said, kind of what he's supposed to do when he's out there. No more, no less.
Yeah, and that to me is why if you're Luke, you need to be a little nervous right now because you've had ample opportunities to establish yourself as the next big for this team. And frankly, you've been meh most of the time. There have been very few games where you looked at Luke and said, damn, that was he had a really good impact when he was out on the floor. It seems every time we see Keita play now, he's playing fewer minutes, but he's making a significant impact. I mean, he was the only guy on that. He had the best plus-minus ratio of guys coming off the bench for the Celtics tonight. And even if you didn't know that, if you watched the game and watched him play, you could see his presence was making a difference out there. His activity on the glass, the fact that he actually gives you a certain level of athleticism and physicality that you're just not getting with Luke. And the thing about it, the guys are looking for him when he gets out there. They're trying. And Al looked for him a little too damn much on that one transition play. But Keita is doing exactly what I think if you're the Celtics, You want that. And it's trend. And the other thing too, and John, we didn't even talk about this. You know, Banton got in before Pritchard did tonight. Which again, that's a whole nother conversation. But I think what you're seeing now is Joe digging a little bit deeper into the crates and that bench, and it's like, look, I need guys who are going to come in here. You don't have to score or rebound. You just have to make an impact. Figure out how you can impact winning, and that's exactly what those two guys have done. But certainly, Keita, again, another really good night for him to make his presence felt out there. Because this is a guy, and John, you talked about this, I think, the last game or so, about how he's just kind of getting his health back and not quite where he was before the injury, but you can see the athleticism. I mean, that lob dunk he had today, that was very Rob Williams-esque. I mean, he was way the hell up there. They showed it on the Jumbotron, and I mean, it seemed like he was like, those arms just kept going up. And, Keita, again, he's doing exactly what a guy in his shoes should do. Get out there and make your presence felt.
Yeah, and he did it. Word coming in from Amit, who's in the press room producing the show. No one does it better than our producer, Amit, down there at the Garden, kind of doing everything as he always does. But he did give us a little note that our boy Gary, your boy Gary, tweaking JT a little bit. But in a playful way, asking, whether he, what he was doing on his way to the tunnel, but nothing crazy. But yeah, I'm curious to hear from Tatum in terms of what went on there. And why he kind of got so mad. I'll say this. I did not think this was a case of a ref looking to toss a guy. I think he was kind of keeping his distance. I think he even might have motioned to the coaches, like, chill this dude out. And he just kept chirping. The thing with Tatum is he's not a yeller and he's not demonstrative, but he's talking a ton. And, who knows what was said at what point, but it's definitely some exclamation point where it was finally like chirp, chirp, chirp. That's just bullshit or whatever. And the last one was like, all right, man, you're done. That being said, could you let it go? Probably, because it wasn't a big one, like he's not flipping out. It wasn't a big demonstrative thing. It was just a little chirping, but without the benefit of knowing what he said, it was I could have gone both ways there. Like, just shut up. And also the refs, like, try to not inject yourself. I just don't know what happened in that situation there. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it was just one of those things that's just built up over the course of the game, where he was in the ref's ear way more than the ref was comfortable with, and he, like your point, John, Tatum, he's not going to, he's not going to do you like Draymond Green, or he's not going to Patrick Beverly or LeBron James, who just, whatever. That's not his style. He's very persistent and consistent, just chipping away, just poking the refs, just constant talking. And at some point, they're just basically like, shut the F up.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah. And that's kind of what, that's kind of what happened. But again, I'm really, and I know Joe Mazzulla is certainly going to lean heavily on the fact that the guy stepped up and helped him get through this one, which is good. But they really need to just have almost like a reminder session to Tatum about the importance of not letting the refs get into your head and just to play through that.
Yeah.
When guys are being physical with you, they tell you to play through it. When refs are making calls that you don't agree with or you think are bad calls, you still got to play through it.
Yeah. Yep, you got to. Otherwise, on the bench, you mentioned Banton. Worth bringing in here. Again, I like that Joe has kind of settled somewhere, even though I know, you, me, several other people still wanted to see Lamar Stevens get his shot at some point or another to see whether he could do anything. I think Brissett really punted away his opportunity by just being really ineffective and looking extremely overwhelmed and not being able to do some of the things that he's supposed to be able to do, which is like have a competent looking shot. I think he felt weird. What we know about Banton is he has no shot, and that is a little worrisome. There was one moment. Yeah, he can't shoot at all. There was one play late, I can't remember the exact period in the game, where it swings to him in the corner for what should be an open three, and really anybody in his position at that point should be taking that 3-point shot, but he has no confidence in it. So instead, he kind of sort of drives, gets to the elbow, and shoots a ridiculously tough contested two that line drives off the back of the backboard. Like, if you can only play so many minutes when you're, but the thing is, he's long, he's quick, he can do some things on defense. He had one, I think, a drive and one earlier in the game. Like, yeah, sure, if he's cutting and he's doing some stuff, maybe he can contribute a little, but he's a total offensive zero here. Does he doing enough to be able to live with him right now?
I think so.
By the way, one of the most insulting nicknames for a bench crew weather was the whatever Tatum called them, the Stay Ready Gang, or whatever. The Stay Ready, like, we don't need you, but stay ready.
Yeah, just stay in the corner and be ready.
Yeah,
but just be ready. You're not. I don't expect you to give me anything, but just other than to be ready.
Yeah,
that's bad.
That's what he called them. But Banton's one of those guys. I guess he called them the Stay Ready group. It's pretty rough, but we got to come up with a better name there. What was the one we had before with what was Morris's bench unit called? They had a cool nickname, like an NWA thing.
Yeah, like Bench Mob or something like that.
Bench with Attitude or something. I thought it was an NWA play or something like that.
Yeah. That might have been it.
Yeah.
He was another one that was.
Well, Morris tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I think he missed like his first 4 or 5 shots, and he hit a three in a corner. I think he was finished like 3 for 10 shooting, something ridiculously bad like that. Not a good night for him. But the thing about Banton though, that I like the fact that he can defend. I like the fact that he gives you a guy that when teams are running, they're trying to run their pick and roll action and creating lots of switches. He's a guy that I'm not like freaking out about when he gets a switch. Whereas when Peyton Pritchard is out there, sometimes teams will make a point of going at him, and they have some success. I thought Peyton did a pretty good job tonight for the most part defensively, especially after he made a couple shots. It seemed like all of a sudden his defense got a little bit better when he knocked down a couple shots. But I thought he competed though, and that's the thing. He's pretty good about that. Win or lose, he's going to compete. But Luke was just it's hard for me. It's hard for me to think about this game and not focus on like those 8, 9, 7 minutes that he was out there where it was the worst that we've ever seen Luke play. Bamba,
the Bus One boys from last year. That's what I forgot. No, he was. And you know what? That's the thing, and that's what I kind of. There was a game recently, I can't remember which one, where Cornette had what appeared to be a decent game from a box score perspective, but it was a classic giveth and taketh away. Every trip down, they were like, "Go find Luke." I mean, it's out there. He's just not a guy. He's a guy you attack. He doesn't play nearly as big. He can't really contest or defend, and he's certainly not great on the board. So. It's challenging.
And he doesn't shoot. I mean, yeah. I thought part of the allure of having him was that he gives you a stretch big. He doesn't look to shoot. He doesn't play anywhere away from the basket. And that to me, that's part of the frustration I have with him. You're a 7-footer who spends most of your time around the basket, but you don't rebound.
Yeah.
And you don't defend at a high level.
Yeah.
I'm just like, so what exactly are you giving me? Yeah. When you're on the floor around the basket?
It's tough.
I mean, Josue can give me that. Hey, Josue, what's up, man?
I saw that coming. A mile away, believe it or not.
What have you been doing for the last hour?
Working my ass off. What you mean?
Well, just tell us about
That's
it.
Your first question? Let me get into it. All right. So
yeah, give me a book report. Give me an oral report on what you've been doing. What I did on my summer vacation by Josue.
Those are the assignments I used to go in, man. Teachers love those.
Yeah.
First week of the school year. But no, look, Joe Mazzulla obviously had a lot of questions about what happened with Jason Tatum, the ejection, and he couldn't say exactly what happened in terms of play-by-play. You know, he said he missed a lot of it. He said there was 1 second left and he was too busy trying to figure out what to do next. But he wasn't exactly pissed off about it. And I don't know if this is a matter of if they lose this game, then he feels differently, or if it's just like he enjoys to see that fire from Tatum. But that's essentially what he told us, that he likes that. He thinks that's necessary for guys to show that fight. He would rather see that than to see the opposite, he told us. And, you know, it's interesting because you look at the way things went down, and I don't know, man. I'm sure you guys talked about it, you know, a lot before I just jumped on here, but I just didn't like Tatum's approach that entire time. I mean, listen, when you got 3 officials huddled up at half court, you let them do what they need. You let them discuss what they need to discuss, and there's really not much you can influence in that moment, right? You have to sort of wait, let them talk amongst themselves, and then maybe try to get a word in there, you know. And I'm reading these quotes right now. He's at the podium, and it looks like he just finished because people coming back. But I read a quote where he said that he just wanted to have a discussion about the foul. But wait a minute, Tatum, you can have that discussion after they're done talking amongst themselves. Like, he's got to understand, like, in the heat of the moment, like, all that stuff matters. These guys are out there trying to do their job. They're trying to do it correctly. And let's face it, he has a past of this, right? You know, and he got that technical foul in the first quarter. And I remember thinking to myself, man, he could completely forget about that, because this happened in the past where he gets so upset that he forgets you already have a technical foul. You know, and of course it happens in the first quarter, so it's easy to forget. But this is a pattern that he has to find a way to get out of. You know, this whole like I'm furious, and you guys have to stop what you're doing and hear me out. Like that's not how it works. You know, and I just think that's something that could have really cost this team, you know, the game. But Al Horford, man, what a performance in that fourth quarter. MVP for sure. And they don't win this game without him. But it shouldn't have, you know, the classic line, it shouldn't have come down to that.
We got Bobby in the house. Josue, I'm going to stick on the Tatum stuff that you
were man. I got a lot to say about it.
Talking about there. First, we'll hear from Tatum right now, and then we will. There's a goalie goal in the NHL tonight. That's fun. We're gonna
Zannis, wait until we're an hour in. All right, you're getting us off track already.
Dude, I was this close to start talking about what I'm going to make for Christmas. We're like it's late. It's late in the Garden Report. I'm getting punchy.
I also had some brief interview question and answers from Gary Washburn of the Boston Globe that he spoke to the officials. We can get into that later.
All right, that's good. Let's hear from Tatum, and then we'll kind of continue on there.
All right.
Can you sort of walk me through what happened with the ejection, and were you surprised that it happened?
Was I surprised? Yeah, I was extremely surprised. I mean, y'all all saw what happened. You might not know what I said, but I mean, I guess whatever I said doesn't matter at this point. I don't agree with that. You know, one of the assistant coaches was there with me, doesn't agree. But it doesn't really matter, right? You know, it's like the ref's word against ours, and at that moment, you know, when they throw you out, they throw you out. Even if I was right, you know, they could go back and talk about it after the game. It's not like we get that game back. I don't get that time back. So, you know, it's unfortunate, but it's like I said, I can't change what happened. You know, just how players, you know, we compete and affect the game. The refs have an effect on the game. So, you know, they threw me out, and right or wrong, you know, it's their word against ours, and I can't get that time back.
So I'm going to take missing the point for 1,000, Alex, because like,
yes, seriously, man. Like, is he, go ahead. Sorry.
So I don't know if more was said, and if there was, perhaps, but I think he's still not getting it based on that comment, which is, it's not whether you were right about the call. It's just that the refs are going to miss calls, and if you grind them, you might get texts. It's just a hazard, you know, poke the bear, you know, like you don't know, like this one might, you know, friggin' attack. Like, yeah, you don't know what you're going to get, but you do know that you're increasing the likelihood of that happening. So it's really more about your reaction to what you think was a bad call rather than I think I was right and he screwed up and I had a right to complain. I think that's missing the overall point of what we've been trying to get at with Tatum all of these years, which is just shut up.
Yeah.
Like just stop. Like you might be 100% right. You could view the tape, find out that the ref screwed you 17 times all night, but you're still still better off to just stop. That's kind of the point.
Right. It's like, I'm sorry this happened to me, guys. Like that's what I heard.
Yeah.
So I've said this for a while.
He's saying there's nothing I could do, and I'm like, sure there is.
We know you can't rewind time, but you could have.
Zip it.
Exactly. In retrospect,
I've said this for a while. I've said this for a while. The frustrating thing, I'm sure, for him and for me sometimes is that they don't dole this out evenly to players across the league, and he gets killed with it. And then you look at a Draymond and a LeBron and other guys.
Yeah, he's got a rep
incessantly.
They're annoyed by it. Look at.
Well, it's not about rep. I mean, the guys who aren't ejected complain incessantly, if not more than him.
Like
so,
Beverly. Yeah.
In that sense, yeah, it is frustrating, and I can get that. But what frustrates me with Tatum on this play is the fact that he committed the 7th turnover right before, and everything that transpired from the flagrant foul on that play to the ejection seemed to be out of frustration over that 7th turnover. And his turnovers are way, way up recently. He's like a 1-to-1 assist turnover. The playmaking's gone right down the tube. His pick and roll numbers are pretty bad, and he's not playing well. So that's the accountability here for him. I don't care about the ejection. It's not playing well. Like even before the ejection, he didn't put them in a position to win this game. And then he's gone, and that galvanized the team a little bit, I guess. Horford was just great late, and Pritchard came in and did some good things. The bench was awesome again. But the best 2 players on the team right now, as we always track, John, the playmaking, it's not going in the right direction. No. And I was a little disappointed. Joe obviously said, smile, move on, forget about it to the ejection. But on the topic of the playmaking, the turnovers, I'm not worried. He works hard at that. So there's no point of improvement for Tatum out of this one. No accountability, no points to improve upon. Like this is the thing that frustrates me about this team. They slip. They disrespect the opponent as they do again in this one. And they carve out a win here, which is great, but you're looking at the process, as Joe often says, right, John? And the process in terms of carrying over what they did in the second half from Chicago to this one was not acceptable for a championship team.
It was not it.
Bobby's spitting right now. No, I agree, Bobby. And we go over this. It's not all about assist numbers. There's more to playmaking than that. But most of his metrics, secondary assists, potential assists, assist rate, it's down across the board. And you'd figure that it would be up considering how many more potential options there are scoring this year. But again, a very simple stat I sent to you guys the other day, top 20 scorers in the league. Tatum has the second fewest assists among those people. These are people with the ball in their hands who are naturally going to draw a lot of attention, and just based off of that are going to end up passing out of doubles or finding other people and creating more offense themselves by distributing. Tatum doesn't quite do that. Among the top 30 players, Jaylen Brown, only 2 people are lower than him. So they're guys who have the ball in their hands and don't tend to do much. And sometimes you do feel like it's 3 guys playing together out there and 2 guys kind of doing their own thing. And when that happens, you have these kind of ups and downs where they don't feel like connected offensively, here. And
they returned the ball over right out of the gate tonight. It was 3 over the first 5 possessions.
It was 8 in the first quarter. They shot 70%,
70%,
so it didn't matter.
Right.
But they're just flipping it all over the place. I mean, just no care for the ball.
And what else happened in that first quarter too, right, John? Was it 8 3-pointers? Like that was
8 of 11 threes and 70% overall. So I said that to Sherrod too. Like as soon as that happened, you knew they were like, up, here we go. We're cruising all night.
Yep. We've seen it so many times. And I felt like Tatum in that last few minutes of the first quarter, the third quarter, right before his ejection, when he checked back into the game, it's like he snapped out of it. I felt like he was doing the right thing, just getting to the rim, getting to the free throw line, something that besides Derek White, I didn't see a whole lot of. I mean, Jaylen settling for shots. There was a lot of times where I felt like he was just trying to do like those little like floaters, or like it wasn't necessarily a layup. Yeah, those turnarounds, those like 8 foot fadeaways, and they weren't falling. So I felt like Tatum was slowly getting back on track, and he let this thing just get away from him, man. Like he's got to he's got to cool it, man. Like my whole thing is, again, and Bobby, I said this before you hopped on, like when the refs are huddled like that, you got to respect that, man. And let's be honest, what are you going to say that's going to really influence their decision in that moment? Again, in that moment, everyone is hot if you think about it, right? I mean, obviously Tatum is he's the most upset out of everyone, but the refs are too, because they're trying to communicate with one another. And here comes Tatum, and of course, he has a history of this. This has happened before. Refs get fed up too. Refs got feelings as well, and we can get to what what they had to say when
I do feel like the ejection was justified tonight.
Well, I'm just gonna say, Bobby, we can get to what Gary, the question that he asked the lead officials, because it's interesting how they're not saying what he said warrant for him to get kicked out. It just warrants a second technical, which obviously means you're out of the game. It wasn't one of those things where it's like, oh, you disrespected me so much that even if you didn't have that first tech, we were gonna toss you anyway. No, it was just, again, he earned.
Well, that's a double standard, right?
Earned it flat out.
This is frustrating to me because we went through this with Draymond Green. Like,
yeah, that's where I am too.
The second one usually holds more weight, right?
I hate that. Yeah. Either a tech is a tech is a tech across the board. I can't stand when you decide, well, I can't give this guy the second one, and then one ref just up and does it. It really is. It does change things because you're right. There's a lot of guys out there who get a tech because they complain a ton. A ton of guys who just complain all day long, and they never get that second one. And
refs hold on to the second one.
I guarantee it's not because they cleaned up their act. So Tatum got targeted for this one today.
I'm trying to think of the first one. It was after a turnover, right?
It was in the first quarter. Yeah, it was like 6 minutes or 7 minutes in or something like that. It's like,
I think both arguments. I think both arguments are fair. Like there's a higher scrutiny on him than there is some other star players. There's no doubt about it. But at the same time, you pick up one early. That is the message to not be complaining to a group of officials while they're trying to sort out a flagrant foul there as they were. So it could have gone either way. You just hate to see him put himself in that position when the team's in a one possession game, when they're really struggling, and most of those struggles are stemming from him. Brown wasn't in great control in this game either, but we talk about his ball handling all the time. Tatum can struggle just as much with keeping the ball in his hands, not pushing off and picking up offensive fouls, all the different things you want to see out of an initiator.
Brown fouled Beverly both times there, where Beverly lost his mind in such a clear way. I can't believe the first one didn't get reversed. He just literally just punched him in the groin and pushed him off of him, and then he did it again across the neck. I know people think the refs have it out for the Celtics. I can't believe he got away with both of those calls. I mean, just classic. Like, I don't like how close you are to me on defense. I can't get by you on my own, so I'm going to shove you, and that's what he did twice. I was really surprised by that. I do want to continue on because we do have a couple more things we wanted to talk about. I want to briefly tell everybody about one thing, and that, of course, is SeatGeek. Our friends over at Dreamers Pro have a great deal at SeatGeek. If you want to get in on the action, use the code DreamersPro when you go to SeatGeek. It's $20 off your first purchase with the promo code DreamersPro. And again, SeatGeek, a #1 ticketing app, really easy to use, like a zillion events out there every single day. So definitely go check it out. I think it's 28 million downloads for this app right now, 70,000 events every day. So a ton of stuff out there. Once again, check out Dreamers Pro, $20 off whatever tickets you end up purchasing at SeatGeek. Once again, $20 off your first purchase. Use that code Dreamers Pro. Bobby, what else you got here as far as this game goes?
Well, I find it interesting that they played like this to start after Joe really emphasized throughout the week in a couple off days here, carrying over what they did in the second half against Chicago, learning to expand leads by playing with that same sort of intensity to run up the score as they did with the target score against Chicago. And They struggled to do so in this one. They built that 10-point lead with that great bench run at the end of the first quarter there, and then just have a disaster second. So they end up behind, by the end of the third, and they're fighting possession for possession down the stretch of this game. So that's what I was looking for coming into this one. Can they build a lead early? Can they expand on it and turn this into a blowout? And credit Philly for making the tough shots. As you often say, they made some ridiculous ones right down to the wire in this game. But the Celtics aided it with turnovers, letting them run out in transition. I mean, the first half transition defense was a disgrace. It was just terrible up until that Jalen chase down block. So you don't love that first half. I thought it was the worst half they've played all year. Credit to them for outstanding fourth quarter without Tatum and without Brown for that first little run to open it. Horford played the whole fourth. I talked to Horford after in the locker room, and he said it would have been awful if they lost this one. Both he and Holiday agreed that there was a sense of let up, looking down at the competition in this one, as you often hear from this team through some of these bad games. But Holiday said he feels like they've had a few where they've figured it out, including this one. So it's better that they won than they didn't. This would have been an all-out, not panic show, but just a furious show, boomerade show if they lost this one. But they figure it out. Horford, he's just on him and the bench, because you consider him part of the bench at this point, right? Even though he's been starting.
That's right. Yeah.
They're like 3 weeks into just playing outstanding. And Pritchard joined it too. He got a lot of credit for the way he led late. They tried double big, then they went smaller with him. Thought he was really good. Hauser, outstanding again. This great defensive possession on Harris. I'm sure you caught that one, John, where he's just in front of him for like 4 or 5 seconds, fronting him, and Harris had nowhere to go. Cornette, decent early, bad late. I don't know why they put him in there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, well, at least they had the wherewithal to get him out quick.
And Keita, another little Keita burst. So
the bench has been
outstanding. It's such a pleasant surprise the way they're playing.
Yeah, for sure. I just think these type of games when Al's starting, like you need guys like that to step up. And I thought Peyton Pritchard, for what it's worth, especially in that fourth quarter, you essentially scoreless through 3, and he just not only knocked down some huge 3-pointers, stole the momentum, but he was showing off that playmaking, ability that we all know he's capable of. And I think that went a long way. You got the alley-oop, you got the 3, you got the rah-rah moments, really got this team on the bench. Really got this team on their feet from the bench. And I felt like that all that stuff matters. They needed to kind of keep that pressure on Philly, because otherwise Philly could, they were in position to be up by 8 or 9. After Tatum was out, they smelled blood, but Al Horford was just causing fits on both ends. And you couple that with the production from Pritchard, and when the rest of the stars came in, and they were able to hold off the Sixers. But yeah, it would have been ugly if they lost this for sure. And I'm sure Al, obviously, it's just special for him, man. It's just different when it's against Philly, and it's not about playing at the Wells Fargo Center. You know what I mean? It's just man. Like I still do this.
He is dominating.
I still do this.
Now.
Okay, with or without Embiid, like let's do this.
Yeah, we got to get.
It's so
we gave Al some
attitude.
love early, but he was great.
He had the go-ahead assist in the fourth, driving baseline. He had the go-ahead post-up late, 2 blocks in a row that changed the game midway through that quarter, rebounds. I love his playmaking. This is why I want him to start, John, because this is what you get out of him as a starter. And you don't quite get this out of him.
Bobby,
right?
This was an emergency fill in the gap moment, and I love that Al was able to rise to the moment. But this is not what you're going to get with Eddie down. And that's been what, 3-4 games?
Yeah.
Talk to me if we're having this conversation in like 10, 11, 12 games. I don't think we're going to be getting this Al in 10, 11, 12 games. I don't. And I love what he's doing, Bobby. I love what he's doing too. But I just can't, I don't see this being something that he can sustain over an extended period of 10, 15, 20 games. I think it's great that he can do it in spot duty, but long term, no. And I wouldn't want him to do it long term because I want him ready for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I can't do my load management if he's playing. I need him in the play. I need this Al in the playoffs.
Right.
I don't need this Al as much the regular season.
No,
But
starter
in a pinch
or
like
not.
this,
Yeah, you got to prep him for those 30 playoff games or whatever it's going to be. You know, like that's
No,
a
starter or
call.
not, you have to do that. It's about figuring out where he can best contribute to the
Yeah,
team
but
because there were a ton of games
right, but Bobby,
where he just did nothing off the bench.
I get that. You know, obviously it's different for him. It's still an adjustment at this point. However, you can't sit there and say what this lineup looked like with Porzingis in the middle. You know what I mean? Like, don't you want to see what that comes? You know what that looks like at the end of the season?
No,
you know, like,
it's impossible to refute. You're right.
It's incredible what that starting five looks like, and you know, it's still.
Yeah.
You still have to credit the Celtics obviously for winning without Porzingis, but it wasn't pretty, at stretches.
Sherrod is getting driven out of the
I can tell. I can hear the noise
out of the garden. Amit is trying to tell me something. Is there another JT? Oh, this is JT and Gary, I think. Is that right, Amit? Yes, this is JT having a little bit of fun here when Gary poked him a little bit here regarding the ejection.
Bro, stuff. What do you do in the minutes after you're ejected before you chill and watch the game?
Again, I wasn't that mad. Like, don't put that narrative out there. I didn't throw nothing. I said what I said. There was no magic words. I didn't cuss. Assistant coaches right there, you heard me. I don't know. Maybe they didn't want me to play tonight. They was eager to get me out of there. And I walked back calmly. I sat in my chair, got some ice. I was not mad. I didn't throw anything. I was just like, it was like a joke. I was like, I had to laugh it off. So no, I ain't cry, I ain't throw anything. Got my ice, watched the rest of the game, watched us win, and got ready.
Man,
I didn't see
Tatum is lucky that Charles Lee's head was covering his mouth throughout that exchange. And I don't know, man. I don't know if no swears. I don't know. I mean, the most I saw on his way out was on his way to the locker room was you don't talk to me like that, or don't talk something to that effect. I can't say I read his lips to say F word or curse word, but that angle from where the camera was showing the exchange, you just couldn't see his face. It was he was covered. But
what we don't know, Josue, is when he got word that he was being tossed. Anything you say after that,
he's gonna let it fly, right?
So when he says that, I didn't say the magic word, he could easily be talking about I didn't say the magic word before I got tossed.
Right. That's a good point.
Well,
yeah, right, because he went
that's a good
after
point.
he kind of went after him after the ejection. Right?
But that's when Charles Lee and Joe grabbed him. Like, all right. You said what you said.
Because their concern obviously is beyond just takes. Right. So
no, I don't think
I gotta run, guys.
Right, yeah.
Last one I got, John. I don't think the ejection's a concern. In fact, I don't think complaining has been a return.
That's funny.
I don't think complaining has generally been.
No, it hasn't. It's a small blip, and he's been much better at it. I just think it's
the concern's the way he played that set it up, and the obvious frustration that set him up to be ejected, stemming from that play, and it's piling up a little bit recently. Back to that Memphis game.
It's whatever. Either not getting calls or not being accountable for the things he's doing wrong. Where every time he either turns it over or a shot doesn't fall, he wants the ticky-tack superstar call. It's like, you didn't really get fouled. Like, so just, there's always something. When he turns it over, it's kind of, I think he gets in his own head. So it's more about affecting the play than some ref arbitrarily decided to tee him up in a situation that, he could have probably let him slide.
Did we read the pool report?
No.
So Gary did the pool report with Billy Kennedy, and Kennedy said, following the loose ball foul called on Jason.
I was teasing that thing this whole time. All right, go ahead, Bob.
Oh, I thought you were going to drop it.
Yeah, I didn't.
Bobby's Bobby, and go ahead, Bobby, do your thing.
Following the loose ball called on Jason, continued to complain, was asked multiple times to head to the bench, continued to complain about the foul called on the floor, and overtly gestures toward the officials, and was assessed a second technical foul. Only reason he was ejected was the second tech. Unnecessary contact to the face was the flagrant reason.
Yeah. They got tired of him talking.
It was the gesture.
It was basically like, please stop talking. Please shut up. Please shut up. Please shut up. Like, and it was after.
And they told him multiple times to head to the bench.
Like,
head to the bench,
come on.
You know?
And he even told his coach, "Get him out of here. Let's go. Let's go."
Again, Tatum, if you want to have a discussion, man, won't you let them finish their conversation first? Like, that's just my whole thing. Like, I just thought, again, after seeing the replay like 3-4 times, I was like, man, he couldn't just wait. Like, I don't understand.
The thing is, on Tech 1, they're calling every gesture. That like they are pretty much across the board. It's not just like Tatum.
Even if you just toss the ball up
toss
in
the
air,
ball,
Porzingis
Porzingis kind of like whoop-de-doo, threw it through the rim, you know. But like any just like man, just a little flick, not like big demonstrative stuff. They're calling a lot of that across the league. You see it fast.
Yeah, I mean the Lakers
even somebody like, come on, give me a break, you know, like immediately getting that first tee. It's just that second tee does have a different, you know. Most refs are very
hesitant,
you know, judicious about when they're going to give that one out.
You got to really earn it.
So this didn't feel like a second Tech explosion, but whatever.
Well, good win. You know, credit to everybody else for picking them up.
It's really annoying. I have been a ref. It's just
I bet, man. I bet. Like I feel for them.
I would be a zero tolerance ref, not like high and mighty with my power, just like. No, Tech. You know, like just like.
Where would the game be without?
No, but
Tech?
seriously, just shut up.
John will give you that shrug too. Like, sorry.
It's like with children. Like I got one thing I can do: take away their electronics.
By the way,
you know, like that's my only thing I can do.
You just unplug the Wi-Fi. You do it by surprise.
Clean your room. Give me the phone. You know, like that's all I can do. You know.
You know what I was ready for late too, John?
It was
like a 1 point game late, John, and I just kept turning Josue, and I was like, that friggin' technical. They had Jalen shoot the technical when Nurse got called with Hauser, White, and a bunch of other guys on the floor who are good free throw shooters, and he missed it. Now, he hit too late to help seal the game, but that was another confusing moment for me. That and the Cornet minutes late, it was like, what? But it worked out on both fronts.
Yep.
That's funny, John.
This is one of the
sorry, go ahead.
It's one of the best teams in the league, like through the first 20-something games here in Philly. So not a huge surprise that their depth stepped up the way it did tonight. They shot ridiculously. Beverly was just hitting everything. So some of it was fluky. Celtics definitely sleptwalked through the first half. And then the fourth was excellent. So win's a win at the end of the day. It's just this continued stretch. It's like 7 games now, and they're 5-2 over that stretch. But they haven't played as well offensively. You sent the graphic, I think. Maybe it wasn't you, John. Last 10 games are 15th in offense, right? Coming in tonight. So slippage. They're number 2 in defense over that stretch. But the offense continues to be a little erratic there, especially with turnovers. Last 7 games, they are 25th in turnover rate.
Yeah.
Top, what is it? Bottom 10 in assists, too?
Yeah, their assist rate's been low all year. They had that great game against Chicago.
Yeah,
but
like 26 or something like that.
It's low.
Entering this game. Yeah.
For the season, they are 24th.
It's low. Yeah, what can you do? Anyway, it's just I want to see more. Like I said, they're still winning, you know. So like,
it's consistency, John.
You know, it's just you want to see
9-0 at home.
You want to see it kind of just you know be the same thing.
Now I will give them one excuse,
They slip in and out
John.
of a lot of questionable habits from time to time, but they're good and they get away with it. So
I will give them one excuse. If they were bottling it up for Monday,
here we go.
I'm okay with it.
I don't think that was it. They said
just win Monday.
No, they said no Maxey. Like you know, in their mind, they're like, all right.
I do think at this point and so you know my vibe on the tournament is I think if they went 2-2 in the regional play, they'd be like, whatever. But now they want to go to the party, right?
I agree.
Especially seeing who's in it.
It's a party in Vegas, and the cool kids are invited, and I want to be there. It's very much like All-Star Game vibes, right?
Exactly.
But you get to bring your whole team. So I do think that it's smart in that regard, you know, making Vegas the little cherry on top of things. Because like,
absolutely,
let's friggin' get there, man.
Can I get an apology, Cam,
No.
John? Because you were completely out. All right, I don't need an apology.
He goes, "Can I get it?"
John, but
you said, "Can I get it?" And he could. He went, "No." He knew exactly what you meant to say.
Tuesday.
I still
just say
don't.
Tuesday surprised you a little bit.
Tuesday totally did, but it was the vibe was great, right? Because the point differential, all the games going at once. It was like the final weekend of like Premier League or like MLB when there's like 7 clinching scenarios and blah blah blah, and it's like what can happen? Everyone's playing at the same time.
It was
so you had that vibe, and then they got into it, and the crowd got into it for the first time. I don't think the fans had gotten into any tournament game before that, but in this case, you're like, oh, we know exactly what we need, and I think they got caught up in the moment on that one. But I still also think that if they lost, they'd be like, yeah, well, we lost, and then they just move on, you know. So like,
it's not what the regular season's about.
That's not. It's just. Hey, we're here. We're here. It's cool. Said. Let's see if we can do it.
They weren't going to let themselves miss it, though. I mean, when they had starters in there in the 4th, it was like, wow, this is awesome.
I think the experience is cool. I think they want to win it. I think they want to. Everyone wants money, but I certainly think there's a vibe of winning it for the lower players on the bench because that's real money. So, you know.
Hey. Coaches get money too, though, John.
If you're a good teammate and you're one of the stars, you got to recognize how much that means to a lot of the guys there. I think Lillard said it earlier, like I want to win it for those guys. Yeah. So that's cool if that's the case there. But I also think, like I said, they want to go to the party now, and I think they would have felt a little bit shitty getting shut out of it. But like the idea of comparing it to something of actual significance, I don't think it's.
Nobody did that.
I think
it's just entertainment, I think.
Honestly. I think it's a 0.2. You know, if making it to the playoffs and advancing is here, this is like.
Nobody compared it to that.
I'll tell you this. The initial thing we talked about is they should be ashamed of themselves for not showing up for a tournament game. And I was like, I don't think they viewed the Orlando game as like, we got to show up for the tournament. I think they just showed up to play a basketball game and they didn't play a great one, or they got beat by a good team. But the rhetoric that night was, how could they not show up for a tournament game? And that's what I was like, give me a break. Like, that's not why they didn't. It's not a blight on their character because they didn't come out and play hard tonight because it was a tournament game. That's what I was getting at there. Like,
I think it would have been a bad look if they just punted on the tournament and said, screw
it's not
this,
punting.
We don't want it. We want it.
No. Punting, yeah. I was just going to say, punting would have been Missoula not going for it in the 4th quarter against the Bulls.
I thought that was going to happen. Yeah. So I was pleasantly surprised.
I don't think they were going to punt. I just think they were going to play, and whatever happened, happened. You know, and then when it got to the point that they could make it, they got caught up in the vibe of it. But teams who were like, lost the second game and knew they were out of it, probably were like, whatever, you know, and just kind of moved on. So it's cool. It's a fun vibe. Hopefully they do get there because I think it'll be interesting. Plus it's new, you know, so I think the NBA wins. They get what they want, which is people talking about it, even if it is just talking about the bullshit with the running up the score. But it is a new thing.
It's a talking point.
Yeah, and it's a talking point, and it gives you something, whether it matters or not.
Oh my God, that would have been the most boring game of the year.
But I also think that the NBA knew it was going to ramp up like this. They knew right out of the gate people were going to be like, "Oh, this is cool. Look at those courts." And man, who's in what group? Like, this is like, I think they knew going into it that the hype wasn't going to start here. It was going to just little by little as fans see their teams advance. Every round it's gonna go even higher in terms of the attention and the fan base is getting excited about it. I really do think that's what's going to happen.
I would like to see almost like in soccer, if you wanted to do fun stuff, I would love to see, like, it'd be cool if they did like an international tourney where they went and played like Real Madrid or
honestly, I think that's
like they do like a Champions League sort of thing.
Is honestly, I just think they haven't figured out the logistics, but they're sort of like starting to plant that seed amongst the NBA, amongst the players and the rest of the league, so they can sort of get comfortable with this type of format, and then maybe that's the next step, honestly, because that was the discussion, Bobby. I don't know if you remember this, but that was what Adam Silver was essentially teasing in the NBA Finals when he did his press conference before Game 1. Remember, he was talking about that was something that they were already discussing, and that they were kind of in the final stages, pretty much all but saying it was official. And of course, we heard the following year that it was going to happen.
Yeah, but like that's kind of like that's what you see in like soccer. All the leagues stop and then they play a Champions League or blah blah blah, and a few different cups and tournaments throughout the season, and it's just it adds to it, and those things have meaning because whatever. I mean,
yeah, this should be longer. This should be more expansive with, like you said, John, the stoppage of the season, and there should be
so
more stakes.
the reason this one's weird is it's sloppily just smashed into the season, and they are regular season games, but also tournament games. You either play a tournament that's outside of the body of your season, or else it just feels like this felt, which was like, I guess it's a tournament game because of the weird floor, but like other than that, like it's just a game. It also counts as a standings game. So that's why I was like, between the two things, I think you treat it like a regular game, and if you're winning, you're like, oh, cool, I won a tournament game, But it's not the same vibe of being in a true tournament where you get knocked out and blah blah blah. And this and that.
Well,
I think the NBA was afraid of the rest of the league saying, "Oh, well, if these games aren't going towards our final record, then let's pull our guys." You know what I mean? Like, let's kind of use it as a scrimmage. And I think then this whole thing would have blew up in their faces. The NBA would have been like, "Man, no one's into this because it doesn't go towards the regular season." I think that was a big part of the negotiating or ironing the details, was that it had to be part of the regular season, except for the championship game, of course. Because even the loser bracket, those games goes towards the regular season. So
yeah.
So no matter what, it's like, oh, these games do matter, whether you guys are into this tournament or not.
Yeah, whatever. And again, I think it makes for more fun. So I think mission accomplished for the NBA here, even if it's kind of weird and imperfect and slightly flawed. I think the flaws actually like contributed to the dialogue, because people were like, this is dumb, or these courts are ugly, or the point differential's stupid, but they talked about it, and then you did get that cool, exciting vibe from that last game. All right, I think we can wrap it here. Celtics did win, so that was good. Fourth quarter was great, probably the only quarter worth talking about in this game. Jason Tatum learned nothing from his ejection.
Yeah, fact.
But again, as Bobby said, and it's fair, it's been better, and it's no longer the thing that you attach to Tatum.
No, we haven't talked about once.
And like, stop complaining. He stopped doing it a lot more, for sure. But yeah, just something was off with him all night tonight, and he just never really got into his vibe, and he was sloppy, and it was a weird game for him. A weird game too, with the stat line being so oddly efficient, right? 7 of 9 shooting.
He got aggressive at a few different points and went downhill. Yeah.
So he got to the line. He was efficient shooting as he just turned the ball over.
He was going into closeout mode. Fourth quarter, Tatum closing the game out before he got ejected. But hey, he's lucky. Al came and saved the day, I guess, and the rest of his guys.
Yeah. But yeah, we're gonna wrap. Is that what do we got? Is this Monday?
Monday, 7:30.
Indeed.
Okay, that's good. So weekend off for the Garden Report crew.
I'm calling it right now. It's going to be a classic game.
I'll be back with Taylor doing Patriots postgame show on Sunday. I predicted a win, Bobby.
I think so too. It seems like all the makings are there.
Yeah. I was hoping the Chargers fired Staley last week and get that coach fired bump where you get energized with the new guy, and they didn't. I think they're done with this guy. They're done. They're done. And the Pats, for whatever it's worth, as bad as Zappy is, are going to get that Zappy bump.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
you sound excited for this, Bobby.
Yeah, I'm done.
I bet you Zappy is.
Yeah. All right. We're good. Thank you guys for hanging with us tonight. It was a fun show, fun night. Interesting game, lot to talk about. Back on Monday, it's tournament time. Probably no Porzingis, but there's a chance, I guess. So we'll see. The pie is ready, and we are going to wrap it up. We'll see. We'll see you guys later. Take care.